Hi everyone, I'm back with another journal page, and today I'm still working in my old cricket book. You can see there where I accidentally shut the pages together while the gesso was still wet, and it tore a bit of it, but it just, you go with it and you use it as to your advantage as texture. So I'm applying some Deravan Matisse paints here. The first one was turquoise. The next one was Australian blue gum. Love that colour. And then I'm using some PBO iridescent green blue. And just sort of covering the background there just to have a base. And then I thought, well, I'd finished that bit of paint in that on that palette, so I thought I'd just add a bit of silver to it just to cover those white areas. I don't even think it comes through to the top layer. But anyway, it's all part and parcel of the process. So now I'm going to add some more texture by way of stencils. And this one's a Crafters Workshop mini reversed wire, or mini chicken wire reversed. And I'm using some Mars Black acrylic paint over that. Probably a bit too stark because it does come through to the upper layer a bit dark. Anyway, and then I used white on the mini tile texture stencil from Crafters Workshop, and I don't think it comes through at all. Oh, I can see a couple of places where it came through, so there you go. Now I'm just taking some plain old kitchen paper, scrunching it up, and then applying it down to the page with some gel medium. Now I'm still on the texture paste, well, not the texture paste, but the texture um, kick since I think it was video 179, art journal page 179, when I used the masking tape. So I thought I'd use some like see-through transparent paper on this. I could have used tissue paper, which had text and butterflies on it, but I wanted to get away from the butterflies. So I just used plain old kitchen paper and trying to keep the scrunches in there for texture, because again I'm going to put some sprays over it. Now for close-up pics of the completed page and all for all my videos, well, most of them from this year onwards, I think, I have a blog post with still photos which show the close-ups of all my pages. So if you wanted to go up and have a closer look, apart from a few glimpses here on the video, you can check out the links in the bottom in the description there. Now I'm just applying some clear gesso on that page only because I have found that after using matte medium or gel medium, the paint doesn't wipe off. It wipes off too easily. So I thought I wanted some grit there for the sprays at least. So I'm using some vibrant turquoise and trying to get the ink from the sprays to settle in those creases of the kitchen paper. But I am watering down the paint as well, the sprays. And trying to dry, well, almost completely before each spray. Here's some Heidi Swapped Peacock Colour Shine. It's a pretty colour too. You can see that chicken wire stencil there poking through very strongly. So I printed out some fish because I couldn't think of anything else to go on the page. All I saw was underwater. And so I just printed out some fish on some cardstock and I sprayed the same sprays that I used on the background. And then I used the embossing pen and I thought I'd use some gold embossing powder on the detail like the scales and the fins, the little fins, just to give it some depth, I guess, some interest, because I wasn't going to sit there and colour all of them. And I don't know what it was, but the embossing powder wasn't sticking to the embossing pen. Now, I like Ranger's Inkessentials embossing pens, but I had a big problem with the tip staying inside the lid. And in the end, one day, it just went over my shoulder, and it's hidden behind my bench and drawers behind me. And I have yet to be able to find another clear embossing pen by Inkessentials since. Well, since yesterday, because I ordered another one. Because I don't think the Wow is enough. It's not strong enough. I think it's it's less thicker than the Inkessentials because it dries quicker. And I found that I had to wait till the page was cooled down enough before I actually used the pen again. It worked a lot better that way. Oh yeah, I just had a little bit more to do, which I didn't show, but that's okay. And now I'm just taking a Pitt Artist brush pen and just sort of making those edges more defined. And blacken the eye. And then I cut them all out. And that's where I stuck. I had no idea what I was going to do with the page from then on. They sat there. I thought, well, that's it. I'm going upstairs. I'm going to cook dinner, have my shower, go to bed, come back the next day refreshed. Well, I came back the next day and I thought, nah, stuff it. They're going to get glued down. It's an underwater scene. And then I had to come up with some idea as to what the focal image was going to be. The fish aren't. So then I saw this other fish, well, lure, fishing lure, and I thought I'd use it. And I thought, okay, I need to find a quote for that. And then it just came to me, and I thought that'll do it. So here I'm using the Wow embossing pen to draw the hooks on that lure. That's a hard word to say. I don't know whether you pronounce it lure or lure. Anyway, it's not a real fish. So using silver embossing powder there. Yeah, still with the embossing powder kick. I don't know what that is. Yeah, the only pen I could get to work on here was the black Stabilo fine point. I could have used a marker, like a Pitt Artist brush, but I didn't want it that thick. I wanted to make sure it went on thin, like a fishing line. And now taking the Tim Holtz layering stencil called Bubble, singular I think, with some white, titanium white. And now I thought, okay, well, this is the only quote I can think of, or the title, or whatever you want. And I'm using a Posca pen to write this, and it's really hard to write over that texture of the kitchen paper. I think it's one of the few pens that could have done it. The brush, the Pitt Artist brush would have done it. So one fish says, hey guys, there's something fishy about this guy. And the one down the bottom says, yeah, he's swimming upside down. And that'll do. I was going to print it, but then I got lazy. So now I'm taking some masking tape because I want to do a border. And I'm just sectioning off a piece of that bubbles stencil. And then going to use some Mars Black acrylic paint to sponge over that. And I just go around the left, the right, and the bottom. So there's an opening at the top. Now, because I'd masked that off, some of those circles were just half circles and weren't really finished. So I thought I'd just take a Posca pen and complete those circles. Then I thought it needed a bit of white, and I thought that's the only way that white can be used. Well, that's the only way that it's been able to work for me is over black when I've used sprays. Now I'm just taking some of that excess cardstock that I'd sprayed the fish on, well, printed the fish on and sprayed the sprays, and just the mainly the whites and then this with the speckle of the paint, of spray, and punching those out. And this 1/4 inch punch, idiot that I am, left them sitting in the satchel of the mechanism of the punch. So in effect, I only used the 1/2 inch, the 3/8 inch, and the 1/8 inch then. So they're still sitting in it. So I'm just adhering those with some Scotch quick dry adhesive, and they add some contrast, I think, to the page. And I was just using a We Are Memory Keepers quick stick to help me with those little tiny little circles. And that's it, done. I'm glad that page is over and done with. So thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll be back with another video. Bye.